We do not want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. And the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. I advocate for the gradual suppression, elimination, and eventual extinction of defective stocks, those human weeds which threaten the blooming of the finest flowers of American civilization. Now, I'm not making this video to win any arguments, but to spur deep contemplation. For those of you who are passionately pro-choice, I want you to understand the origins and the spirit of that which you are aligning with. First, let me just say that this does not pertain to the 4% of abortions which are due to rape, incest, or the mother's life at risk. Those exceptions should always be handled with great care and sensitivity. Understand that of the remaining 96% of abortions, almost half occur amongst women who have sought abortions previously. Almost half are cyclic. In the U.S., the rate of abortions amongst Black women is about 5 times that of white women. In 2013, more Black babies were aborted in the state of New York than were born. In the last 100 years, the percentage of the Black population in the U.S. has increased by only 2%. What great twisting does it take to not only believe that a race is better off extinct, but to get them to believe that for themselves and to advocate for their own termination? Well, it takes the creation of an entirely new narrative that masks original intent. And it takes the perpetual emotional, psychological, and spiritual suppression of a people. It takes generations of poverty, lack of education, and failure to aid people in investing in opportunities for autonomy. It takes the following narrative. You can't be a mother. You can't start a healthy family. You can't be successful. You can't thrive. You can't rise above. You will be oppressed. You will stay on welfare. You will be just another statistic. If you do this long enough, you will convince a people that death is better than life. I've watched aghast as the majority of America remains completely uneducated about the origins of that which they so passionately advocate for, as they use the plight of targeted minorities to fortify an agenda that was made for those minorities' demise. And rather than wholeheartedly shift societal focus onto life-giving resources and measures, better opportunities and education, and some do, we have taught a people to rely on government as their provider and savior. A government that places more emphasis on generational suppression than generational thriving. Have we done enough to help underprivileged families gain access to entrepreneurship and to start up small businesses to stand on their own 2 feet? Or have we perpetuated a cycle of failure and made death an all too easy choice? Have we taught our youth to even ask the question, am I willing to create a life with the person I'm about to lay in bed with? This is not a religious statement. This is a simple fact of biology that requires us to revisit our sexual ethic. The motto for abortion used to be safe, rare, and legal. Now it's abortion on demand without questions. Abortion has become somewhat of a virtue. How did we come so far where something designed for ethnic cleansing is now somewhat of a virtue? Where abortion has become as accessible as picking up milk from a grocery store? Now, by no means am I saying that the decision to have an abortion is made flippantly by a majority of women. But I do believe that the current reviving of this issue and the impending changes to come will cause a heightened awareness and gravity to the nature of our sexual ethic and the consequences of that which we promote in our movies, our television, pornography, and culture as a whole. We pour so much promotional energy into those things which we value in our society. We rally the troops behind BLM and vaccine campaigns, human rights issues, and so much more. We donate to the causes we care about, hold huge celebrity concerts, and give them prime time attention. And yet adoption continues to cost $25,000 to $50,000 on average and goes largely undiscussed as children continue to age out of the foster system. The foster system is in shambles, but we would rather put out trillion-dollar packages for infrastructure than for the children. For my fellow Christians, I am so grateful that families of faith adopt at a rate 2.5 times higher than any other demographic. But if one family in every 3 churches adopted a child right now, the foster system would be completely empty. Where are we falling short? I come from a family with 2 adopted brothers, so I'm very passionate about this issue. I know I'm addressing several different things in a very concise video, but that's because it would take days, weeks, and even longer to fully fledge out all the cultural implications here. So let me summarize. Black women and Black families have been the victims of something very dark and psychologically evil, and we are unwilling to address it because it messes with our agenda. Rather, we use them as our poster children for the cause without any second thought. We have assigned higher virtue to death than life. We promote reckless sexual behavior in our media and have consequently assigned higher value to sexual freedom than sexual ethic. And this goes for women and men who must support the children they create. Men are by no means absolved. We give national platforms to the causes of the day, and yet fostering and affordable adoption remain at the very bottom of our agenda. We've elevated virtue signaling above virtue itself. So I'm not sure what to tell you to do with all this information, other than to maybe pause and think deeply about all of these issues. This isn't meant to point the finger at one party or the other, and definitely not at any women who have previously had an abortion. To address the issues that cause many women to seek an abortion means we gotta do a lot of deep digging and unearthing. But if we're not willing to acknowledge the root origins of the practice, or even the ways in which our culture has glorified sex and tossed children aside, we'll never fully sort this thing out. The topic of life is complex, and even many on the pro-life side have not fully understood it. But I fully believe we're meant to be a society teeming with life, health, wellness, opportunity, and responsibility. And I believe we've done ourselves a major injustice.